First of all, welcome to the channel and thank you for stopping by. When time permits, please consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Today, we are here with the KTM 390 Adventure and we're heading up to New Hampshire for Dirt Daze. I'm sure it's not coming up on camera, but it is now raining. It's supposed to rain off and on all day, which I don't mind at all. I've got my climb jacket, it's gonna keep me dry. My only concern is it's supposed to seriously start raining at 4 o'clock, which is when we sign into Dirt Daze and I go in to set up the tent. There's absolutely nothing worse than setting up your tent in the rain. Well, we'll see how the day goes. I am on my way to Bennington. I'm gonna get a little bit of work done at a client, even though I'm wearing adventure gear. And then I'm gonna be meeting Chappy from a podcast of all things. I've met YouTubers, but never a podcaster. But he does sound like a really great dude on his podcast. All right, we're at Dirt Daze. It's slightly raining. Chappy from Throttled Adventures. I'm sure you know his podcast. And we are looking at the bikes we're gonna get to have fun with later. Well, by later I mean tomorrow.
Yes.
Look at those beautiful motorcycles. Anyone who is subscribed would have seen my Pan Am rides from last year. I absolutely love this bike. If I was irresponsible with money, I would own this bike. It is a joy to ride. This is my first opportunity to see a Triumph that's not either a Tiger 800 or a Bonneville. Both of those bikes looked great and I enjoyed riding a Tiger 800. But looking at these new bikes, wow, the build quality and materials certainly seem to be premium and a step above the Tiger 800 I saw a couple months ago. Only KTM thinks you're going to steal their bikes at an event. For fans. Well, the good news is, we got here before the rain. The bad news is, right after we ate and got a chance to walk around just a few bikes, this is what it's like now. So I am trapped inside of my little Lynx tent in the pouring rain. I do enjoy having a small tent, but maybe I should have some other shelter that I can get out of the tent in when it rains. Good morning to a very rainy morning in New Hampshire. It is hour 10 of being trapped in the tent. Breakfast is in 30 minutes. The rain is supposed to taper off this morning and then start heavy rain at 8 o'clock. So I'm hoping between 6:30 and 7 it tapers off enough to make a run to get something to eat and then hide back in the tent. Unfortunately, I might lose most of the morning to rain from what I've been reading in the weather. Ugh. Good news is the waterproofing on the tent worked perfectly. It was windy and raining hard, rain coming down sideways at some points. Nothing has made it into the tent so far. I hope that continues. Let's hope it gets dry enough to go get something to eat. Okay, it's Thursday, it's about 12:30, just had some lunch. They've got a great food truck here, and what we're really waiting for is Chappy and I would like to ride some bikes today, but unfortunately, because it rained all night, everything was wet and they canceled all of the morning bike tests. So if you want to test ride a bike, you have to wait until the afternoon. First they were talking about 2 o'clock, now they're talking about 1 o'clock. So with any luck, after this will be some footage of a Triumph, a Harley, or a Yamaha, maybe even a KTM. All right, they didn't have my first choice available, which was the 900 Rally, so here we are on the 1200 Rally, which was my second choice, so no real complaint. All right, my shifter is bent in like crazy. I guess I should have looked at that before riding the bike. Seat height is fantastic. It's lower than my KTM. I wouldn't call it low, but definitely can get two almost toes down. Woo! Spoke too soon. A little bit tall on the off-camber hill. I've never sat in a seat this comfortable. Oh man, it is not easy to get my boot under that shifter. He said that these bikes were new as of Sturgis and they've only on their second tank of fuel. For a triple, this is a little bit of vibration. And wow, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but when I drop acceleration, it dives. He did mention because they're new, the gearboxes are kind of clunky, but I've never actually ridden a motorcycle where the gearbox isn't clunky, so I wouldn't be able to tell. Oh wow, standing is fantastic. Holy shoot. I wouldn't need to change a thing. The way this demo bike is set up is ideal. I'm just standing here comfortably. Plenty of room, plenty of comfort. Wow. Yeah, so far the only negative is shifting requires me to fight my boot under it. Which, riding the Rally Pro, I would have thought the shifter would be up a little higher. Of course, mine is also bent in and been worked a little, so maybe it would be fine on a less beaten up bike. Okay, my rear tire just locked up. So, I don't know if my ABS is working. That was unpleasant. Woo! All the power you want. We're heading into rural Vermont. I don't know that we're going to go very fast, but they did say there'd be a little bit of dirt. I mean, the sweep on the steering wheel, the seat, the distance. I mean, I guess I am an average-sized man, but wow, this is incredibly comfortable to just relax. I could definitely tour on this thing. This was my first ride on the Triumph Scrambler 1200 XE, the dirt quickest scrambler. We'll delete the rest of this footage and switch to my second ride. While on the first ride, I found the suspension to be incredibly soft. Any input, throttle or brake, would cause the front forks to either compress or expand by about 4 inches. It was incredibly jarring. When I got back, they asked me how the ride was, and after hearing my feedback, the mechanic came out and adjusted the front suspension and asked me if I'd take it out for another ride on my own. I believe this may have made me the only lucky individual to have a private Triumph ride at Dirt Daze. I found the Scrambler 1200 EX model to be an absolutely exciting bike to ride. When you twist the throttle, the bike takes off like a rocket. The brakes are okay, maybe even good. I was able to emergency brake from significant speed without any instability, but there's a downside. I discovered when braking hard that there's absolutely nothing to grip on this bike with your knees. Both sides of the bike feel like glass, and as soon as you start to brake, especially if it's any kind of hard braking, you just slide forward on that bench seat and those glass sides. There's no friction whatsoever, and it was exciting to say the least.
While I could not see myself riding this bike any real distance or on a regular basis, I mean, it's certainly not comfortable with its hard bench seat, zero wind protection, and, well, kind of a rough ride. I could see this as a bike I owned that I took out a few hours a week just to bomb down some twisty or dirt-covered roads. Sometimes you have no place to be and you don't need an adventure bike. You just want to have an exciting ride, and I think this bike is ideal for that.
No rain last night, though it dipped to 50 degrees. Came out of the tent to a very foggy morning, but the temperature was fantastic, which would change. I was really surprised at how late people slept in at Dirt Daze. Every morning when I woke up, there was one or two people out of hundreds and hundreds. The good weather didn't last long though. By the time the BMW obstacle training course opened, it was hot and humid. BMW is offering a no-cost 2-hour class on your slow speed skills. It was really intense and a lot harder than it looks here in the footage. If you're at an event where they offer it, I would certainly recommend giving it a go. I'll not say it was fun or entertaining, but it was useful. I really know now that I need to practice my slow speed skills, and I am definitely going to do so after being humbled by this course. There were very few vendors at the event, and while that may disappoint some, I was really here to ride and meet people, so it was not an issue for me. But compared to what you find out on the West Coast events, very few were here. Yamaha had a special camping area for folks who have recently purchased a Yamaha motorcycle. Unfortunately, my 2004 Yamaha FZ6 did not qualify me. Well, it's Saturday morning, almost noon. I've been here at the Touratech Daze Rally since Wednesday, camping out in my tent. It started out pretty rainy and then it just got fantastic. I would say today is a little bit warm and I've just finished packing up, hanging out in the shade at my neighbor's tent, trying to get out of here because I have had an amazing time and I'm really tired from having that amazing time. I would recommend coming to a rally, especially if you're on the East Coast where there's so few to choose from. If you can get to the Touratech Dirt Daze Rally next August, highly recommend it. It is a fantastic time. You're going to meet like-minded people. They're going to tell you about your bike. You're going to see bikes you've never seen before. You're going to see farkles, customizations, and you're just going to have a great time chatting with people. And on top of that, there are great rides. It's a beautiful area. This part of New Hampshire and Vermont where you go riding, it's gorgeous. I've been here many times. And if you're not from the area, if you're traveling more than 4 or 5 hours to get here, it is a great place to be. You're gonna love it. And on top of that, Harley Davidson, Yamaha, Triumph, KTM, they brought a lot of bikes. It was fantastic, especially Triumph. I definitely have to say Triumph went all out at this event. They had a sport bike all the way up to their enormous 1200 Tiger, etc., with the 8-gallon tank. I mean, you could ride a lot of bikes and just stay at the Triumph booth. Harley Davidson was fantastic as always. They basically say, hey, here's a bike. Go out and ride the bike and come back. Follow our orange things, please, or not. Come back, enjoy. Great people. Yamaha guided ride. If you've already ridden the Tenere, I didn't even bother to go back. KTM does have a collection of bikes. I didn't go on a KTM ride. Didn't work out time-wise. Maybe next time. But there's plenty to do. There's plenty to see. The only downside I would say is you're in a field, there's some farms nearby, there's some expected smells that you get in a farming community and you may not be used to it. You're certainly not going to enjoy it. And don't get the food. The food here is basically, not sure if you all have them, but here in New York we have state fairs and we have what you would call fair food. It's kind of like, hospital food, school cafeteria food. It's technically edible, but it's not great, and you probably don't want to pay for it. And the reason you can avoid that is because here in this community, there are so many great restaurants. I've been here with Chappy from the Throttled Adventures Podcast, having a great time camping with him. Definitely go take a look at their podcast. Great couple of guys doing a really great show. But we've been hitting the local joints. There are local places to go, and the food is fantastic, just like you would expect from a small community. They're great. So for eating, come to Touratech Dirt Days, pass on the food, and go get yourself some local restaurants. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. Just come do one of these if you have the opportunity. If you're interested enough in motorcycles to watch any motorcycle channels on YouTube, you're going to be among your people. This is your tribe. Come here if you can. It's not expensive. Have a great time. So if you stuck around, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to get out of here. Take care.